Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. I am one half of that Kelsey and Dill. I am Dill.
I'm the other half, Kelsey.
That would make sense. Welcome to the show. We're a lot episodes deep of this podcast. We're 4 episodes deep of Falcon Winter Soldier. We're already in April. We are so grateful for all our fans who've been listening, both on YouTube and on audio. Just a special shout out to you all because we kind of forget to thank you all sometimes. Kelsey, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dill. I had a very relaxing Monday morning so far.
That's very nice. Yeah, go on.
Thank you.
So we have our news, which we'll get to. I know I have big news, and you also have big news because we kind of know the news is big this week. This is a big Marvel week of news. Nothing crazy, no release date changes, nothing crazy like that. It's fun news. So Kelsey, do you want to get us started? Or do you want me to start us?
Sure. You seem very excited about your news, so I'll let you go second.
Okay.
I'm just here to talk to everyone about the second official Loki trailer we got for our
Yeah.
Loki series that's dropping June 11th. Is that the date?
I don't know. I'll look it up while you tell us about the
Yeah,
trailer. How about
fact
that?
check me on that. I could totally just be making that up out of my behind,
June
but
11th, 2021. You are correct.
amazing.
Look
Wow.
at that speedy Google check. I'm proud of
Lucky
myself.
pluck. That was great, Dill. So we start off our second trailer with a 2012 Loki getting what it looks like. He looks like he's getting captured by someone with the Tesseract. So we know that the series is going to start off right where we left off with him in Endgame when he
Hmm.
vanished with the Tesseract when they were back in 2012. Um, he's with this organization called the TVA. We just know that they're these, this some sort of time. They deal with time, they try to keep it as regular as possible. So he has to deal a lot with them. He has to, there's this one clip of him having to verify everything that he's ever said. And he says,
The
this
big
is
stack of papers. Yeah.
exactly, and he adds one more to the pile by saying, "This is absurd." And we find out it's really quickly, but they give us a shot of that paper that the guy on the desk slaps down, and we find out that this is Loki Variant 1130. So this is
Wow.
the 1130th Loki that is apparently in this multiverse, or at least that's how
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
interpreting the number there. And we find out from Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston's scene partner. I'm not sure what his character's name is yet, but I just know him as
Wow. Wow.
exactly the wow guy.
Wow.
Um, we find out that Loki has broken reality and that the TVA need his help kind of fixing it and putting it back together. We see there's kind of this diagram of this mainstream timeline with all the branches getting split off, like the ancient one explained to Bruce Banner in Endgame. So we know that Loki has caused this to happen by taking the Tesseract and going rogue with it. We see shots of a hooded figure. Excuse me, my lemon ginger tea is getting to me. Um, we see shots of this hooded figure who seems to be the villain throughout the series. So we maybe we'll find out who that is when the time comes. And then we just get really quick shots of Loki in Asgard, Loki in what looks like to me the Kamar Taj, the place where Doctor Strange goes to learn the mystic arts. And then we see a shot of a Loki who seems to be running for president. He has a vote for Loki pin on his suit. So maybe we'll get President Loki, who knows? And but the shot that seems to be the thing that the entire fandom is talking about is a very, very, very quick shot of Loki talking to this red-headed woman who is in a black jumpsuit, who the fandom is speculating to be Natasha Romanoff. They seem
Yeah.
to be on this purplish planet, could be Vormir. Maybe she's stuck there. Maybe, Loki has stumbled upon a 2012 Natasha some way, somehow. Maybe it's not
Mhm.
Natasha at all, but a lot of good things it looks like coming
Yeah. I mean, that
for
was
our
that was
Loki series.
yeah, that was a great breakdown of the trailer. I mean, it is one of those trailers that like you kind of know what the show's about, but you really have no clue what the show's about. It's more WandaVision than Falcon
Yeah,
Winter Soldier. You're
absolutely.
very much it's very skeptical. And I like that. I like kind of going back to that whole like, oh, what's going on type story, because here it's like very clean cut, Falcon Winter Soldier.
Sure.
Whereas, Loki, it's this is another Loki that we haven't seen this Loki since the Avengers, because this is not the Loki that's
Mm.
gone through the Dark World or
Yeah,
gone
no.
through Ragnarok or gone through Infinity War, obviously where he
Mhm.
dies. So it's going to be really interesting to see like Tom Hiddleston go back to like the old Loki that we love to hate rather than love to love.
Right. But I
Yeah,
will say, though, I was thinking about this today while I was watching this episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, was that they really did a good job of hiding the reveal of John Walker to us, because
yeah,
they really only show us, them kind of working together, doing the fight scenes together. And then we see shots of them in the trailer with the shield. So
yeah.
we thought that it was always just going to be like Sam with the shield and him becoming the
Mhm.
next Cap. But bam, they threw us this curveball. So
Well, and we'll talk about that later, because I think
yeah.
because we saw those shots of the shield, we knew that eventually they would have the shield. So, what was the point of these past few episodes if it's just going to end up back in Sam's hands? Which makes me think one of two things. Either it's not going to be Sam's shield and it's going to be really Bucky's shield and he's going to take on the role now and Sam's also helping him out, or it was stuff that they made for a trailer specifically to throw us off, because they've done that in the past. They have had like
That is true.
Hulk was running with the Avengers in the Infinity War trailer, and as we know, in Infinity War, Hulk was not seen after the first 10 minutes. It was Bruce
Mhm.
in the Hulk Buster armor. So
Mhm.
this could be a red herring. I don't know. We haven't seen any of that footage from the trailer. I know exactly what footage you're talking about with him in like the tree where he throws
Yeah.
it into the tree.
Yep.
All that stuff we assume might be coming in the last two episodes. But again, like how much more do we have to talk about, and like how much more is there to do in the last two episodes? Like, do we have time to go back to the whole like softer character building storyline with the shield and stuff? So it'll be interesting now after this episode, especially, to see how the shield ends up. But we'll get there in a sec. Let me talk about my news for a sec, because
Yeah, lay it on me, Dill.
it is fun. So everyone who knows me really well knows that I am a theme park junkie. I love theme parks. I love going to the thrill ride parks like Six Flags and stuff, and I like the world. I don't know how to say it. The Disney's, the immersive character and food and rides and all that stuff. So I'm a big Disney fanatic. Disney World. I have been to Disneyland once, but I plan on going again because
When
they
did you
just
go to
announced
Disneyland?
when I was 10 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that. Fun
Yeah, it was
fact.
for my 10th birthday. We went to California because I said for my 10th birthday I wanted to see Hollywood, and I didn't
Okay.
know all the things that would come with Hollywood, aka like the sleazy parts of different areas of the city.
Yeah.
But I did see the walk. I saw the
Oh, the
handprints. I saw the
stars.
Chinese theater. I saw all the people who pretended to be celebrities dressed in front of the Chinese theater, and I took my pictures with all of them, thinking they were real. Of course, that's Antonio Banderas. No, it's not Dylan. I don't
Mm.
care. I'm taking my picture with him anyway. Um, yeah, and then we went to Disneyland. So I have been, but it's obviously gotten a makeover. Galaxy's Edge is there now too with Star Wars. They changed the Tower of Terror to a Guardians of the Galaxy ride there. The Cars Land is there. So I haven't been in 12, 13 years. But I will be going back because they just announced that the Avengers campus will be open on June 4th. So take a look at this. That is the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're not watching on YouTube, go check out our YouTube video for this section, especially. That is the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, the one that Tower of Terror turned into. And right in front of that looks like the entrance to this Avengers campus. And this is more of the inside of what the Avengers campus is going to look like. You see there's like a lot of gift shops, there's the Iron Man logo and all that stuff, but it's really cool. And I have a few notes about what to expect from this theme park attraction add-on. I'm just so giddy because I'm going to literally walk through my childhood, and I just can't wait. And Kelsey, you're welcome to come with me. Anyone who wants to come with me, let's go to Disney World.
I
I
was
won't
gonna
pay
say, can
anyone's
I
way,
really
but
hope that I'm invited on this excursion, because
if
I
you can
am
pay your
just
way,
as giddy.
I don't know if I have the money to buy everyone a plane ticket, but if you want to all meet up in Disney World and go hang out at the Avengers campus with me and Kelsey, please meet us there. We'll all hang out there. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
whole internet's
Disney,
invited.
right? Everyone on the internet, who cares? We have a loyal listener base. We all love you guys. So Disneyland itself will open again on April 30th. That was announced. California is lifting some of their guidelines. Obviously, they're going to take the same protocols that Disney World has been doing with the mask wearing and the social distancing on the rides, and of course, no fast passes because they want to keep one line, focus line, less people coming into the park in general. which I think they've been doing a very good job with in Disney World. Disneyland will be open on April 30th, and this, of course, will happen in June on June 4th. There's one attraction, only one ride right now that has been announced. It's kind of like Star Wars, where they started with one ride. This is going to be the ride. There's all other stuff to walk around and see and eat and stuff, but this is the ride. It is called Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure, and it is a 3D ride. It looks like you are sitting in the little vehicle there, and you have 3D glasses, so it's not really moving too much. It looks like it's gonna move, but it's not gonna like go forward or backward. It's just gonna kind of wiggle around like those rides
Mhm.
do, and a
Mhm.
lot of it's gonna come from the 3D. But I did hear in this little blurb, it says an all ages ride that tracks a person's head, hand, and eye movements 60 times a second to create the feeling that the rider is actually shooting webs out of their hands in real time. So I guess there's some sort of technology that if you go like this in 1 second or in 60 seconds, 60 times in 1 second, they will scan your body and you will be able to feel as if you're actually shooting webs. I don't know how it's gonna happen.
My mind is
I
blown right now. That's
it's
literally my childhood dream to just, like, be Spider-Man. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So I guess they're gonna sync it up somehow with the motion sensor detector with the 3D video to make it feel like you are in control and you are Spider-Man. But that's not all. There's other parts of the park. That's the big ride. But there are other
Okay.
parts of the park, including this, the Pym Test Kitchen, which is a exclusive restaurant to the Avengers campus. Looks very delicious. You might get a Pym Nini there. You know what I mean?
Damn.
I hope they make that a
Love
thing.
that.
If you're listening,
A
Disney, make that a thing. A
Pimnini.
Pimnini, or like pepperoni pinwheels or something like that. Like something interesting.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
The meet and greets. So we will have some stationed meet and greets. Doctor Strange will have his own sanctum where you can meet him and learn about the dark mystical arts. And there is a special designated meet and greet for Spider-Man. Hear that, Kelsey? We'll get to meet
Mhm.
Spider-Man in his own designated meet and greet. And walking around, roaming freely in the Avengers campus, you might see Gamora, Star-Lord, and everyone's favorite tree, Groot.
Groot?
And I'm assuming it's full size Groot because I don't know how you have baby Groot walking around the park. It is going to be full, 7 feet tall Groot walking through Avengers Campus, and there
I'm
are
literally gonna pass away.
there are other Avengers campuses opening. I think there's one in Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong opening up. Hong Kong is going to have an Ant-Man ride. So there are other Avengers campuses popping up in other countries, which I think is they're going to try to connect it all as if it's in the same storyline. Like when
Mhm.
you're in the park, you're in this specific Avengers campus in the whole world. But that's everything coming to the California one. So, Kels, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we need to go to California right now, I think. Is there any word on the Florida in Disney World? Are we getting
Here's the
anything
thing.
like this here on the
I
East
think
Coast?
I think it is a solely exclusive California adventure thing. It's in Disneyland, California Adventure. But it's not going to be like the Star Wars Land where it's the same one in both parks. I think it is exclusively in California, and I think the reason being that they want to keep like one U.S. Avengers campus to kind of make it feel like to kids that this is like the Avengers campus that you can go to in your country. I know. But hey, if it's a hit, who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
I was gonna
I'm
say, Disney World has Toy Story Land and Disneyland doesn't. So like, there are things we have that they don't.
okay.
They have Cars Land, we don't. So like, there's things we do have and don't have that they have or don't have too. So that's just how it goes. I mean, hey, I'm going to Disneyland to go to this thing, so I guess it's
Yeah, I
working.
guess
It's
yeah, I'm gonna have to make the trip out there because there's no way I'm gonna live my whole life without
um
walking through the Avengers
right,
compound.
campus, yeah.
Well, it
Well, I
looked
mean,
like the
yeah.
compound.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you go through the compound to get to the campus. I mean, like, yeah, it's one whole world. I mean, even if just going to a gift shop and like shopping around for like little Tony Stark gadgets, I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I don't even need a Pimnini. I just want to walk around in it.
I wanna see Groot, and I wanna see Spider-Man.
It's
I'm
funny
like
because like as an
I
adult, sometimes you look at the kids and you're like, oh, I wish I was that young again. But then you're like, I could still do all that stuff. It's just I'm 23. Who cares? And There's
Hey,
nothing
you're
wrong
not
with that.
23 yet.
No, in
Very close.
how many
It's coming
days?
up. 7.
5.
5. You're right.
7 from the date of recording, 5 from the date you're listening.
I've
We
proved
there we
time and
spoil
time
we
again that I'm not the mathematician in
Well,
this
it's fair
duo.
though because half the time we're pretending like we are on a Monday to keep it realistic for the viewers, but half the time we're like, "Oh, it's Saturday night. Who cares?" Yes. So a week from today, I will be 23. That's for sure. Which is nuts. But yeah, that is the Avengers campus in California. Disney's California Adventure. Looks so cool. And who might we see there? But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, perhaps. Is that a good segue?
I love it. I think you always kill it with the segues. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh, Jill, you're gonna be so mad at me. I
Did you
forgot
forget your
to
summary?
do another summary again. I can freehand it right now.
You can freehand it? Okay. I'll help you
Yeah.
out if you need me.
Okay, so episode 4 is titled "The World is Watching." Sam, Bucky, and Zemo all go on a hunt for Carly to find out, or they really go on a hunt for Donya to get to Carly to find out what she's done with the serums and if she's dispersing them more. John Walker and Battlestar show up to complicate things, and John Walker makes the biggest mistake he possibly can at the end of the episode. I
And the
know.
Wakandans. You forgot the Wakandans.
Okay, well, it was really quick and shorthand, and I know it wasn't as good as my other
Well,
ones,
well,
but
here's my point I'm trying to make is that they make this huge cliffhanger because it's episodic, they need to make a cliffhanger, and
mm,
it's this whole reveal of, oh, we're after Zemo, it's the Wakandans, and then we open the episode and he's just like and she tells him, she's like, yeah, okay, have him this afternoon. And then it's like end of conversation. I'm like, wait, okay, so all that build up and it's just like this little dismissive conversation. Then even later, it's like they still don't get him. So it's like it almost feels like they're just adding things to the mix to try to create more drama. But it's like, do we need all that? Like I love the idea of bringing Bucky and the Wakandans, that storyline together. But like, there's already enough people chasing everyone else. Like enough people are chasing
okay,
Carly and John Walker's chasing Zemo. Like, do we really need this extra added layer of people chasing? Like, I still don't know what Sharon's up to, like what her whole purpose is. And I know we're still on the train that she might be the power broker.
sure.
But it seems to me like I like this episode, but again, the bigger picture, it's like how are they going to resolve all these storylines, and like why do we keep adding characters to the mix? Where's this going? And obviously we're going to find out where it's going, and I think it's going in a really interesting direction for some characters. But like the Wakandans, I was like, it just happened and then it was over, and I was like,
Mm,
and then they come back, of course the Dora Milaje come back at the end, and it's like this cool action sequence. But again, I'm like, so their point is just to get Zemo. Like I want a
yeah.
little bit more, like because they left us on a cliffhanger. But
Yeah, totally. The way that they left it, it felt like the action was going to, jumpstart right from the beginning kind
right.
of thing. But I also kind of saw it in the direction that they took it where they were going to, give Bucky a time limit, like, oh, you have 8 hours and then he's ours
Hmm.
kind of thing. Because, they do need Zemo to carry out the rest of the mission.
True.
Maybe if they had like ended this episode on the Wakandans cliffhanger, it would have been more smooth and maybe we'd get like that intense action sequence right off the bat, starting
Yeah.
episode 5, so we didn't have this kind of like complication. Although I do think that it was important for John Walker's character to encounter the Dora Milaje because, oh baby, I have lots to say about that scene
Yeah.
once we get
Yeah,
to it. But
well,
let's
yeah,
start at the
we'll
beginning.
we'll dive in. My big thing was just basically that, like, the Wakandans felt like they were almost overshadowed in this episode, where like they should have been a bigger point based on what the
Mhm.
episode was setting up, and they kind of become like the third or fourth afterthought. When you think of this episode, you think first and foremost John Walker, and then it's like Carly, and then it's Zemo, then it's the Wakandans. Like it's kind of like there's like
Sure.
a tier in order of like how you process this episode, like what moments stick out to you the most. So take us away, Kelsey. Let's your excellent walk through these episodes. Let's walk through it.
All right, so we start in Wakanda 6 years ago. We start with a flashback of Bucky when he was still in the process of getting treated for, Winter Soldier syndrome. And Io, sorry, excuse me, you pronounce her name saying Ao, like Ao.
Ayo.
Ao is coaching him, taking him through a session. She's experimenting on whether or not his brain is completely fixed by saying the Winter Soldier sequence out loud. Bucky is rather nervous. He thinks that, he's going to, bug out and become the Winter Soldier again. But she reassures him that she's not going to let him hurt anyone. And she gets through the entire sequence, and Bucky doesn't change. He stays himself. So we have this beautiful moment of what I call happy Bucky, which we don't see often. Like
No.
throughout the entire franchise, we just don't get enough happy Bucky. And it was just such a beautiful moment. And Sebastian Stan did such a great job with this
Yeah.
scene. My heart was breaking right off the bat. And then we cut to right where we left off with episode 3. So it's Ao and Bucky talking in that alleyway in Latvia, and she basically just tells him, "You have 8 hours, and then we're going to come after Zemo." And Bucky's like, "Great, because we need him to carry out the rest of our mission."
Mhm.
Scene 3, Bucky tells Sam and Zemo that the Wakandans are here and that they're going to come after Zemo. And then they find out about Carly's latest attack on the GRP, right? Or GRC. Let me go back into my notes. The GRC, yes. The latest attack on the GRC. Zemo is sure that Carly is evil. He compares her to a supremacist. He says, as long as there's this idea of super soldiers, there will always be people like, he says, the Nazis, like Ultron, like the Avengers, who kind of, create this power dynamic in the world. But Sam thinks that she has redeemable qualities, that she can still be saved, that, this doesn't have to just end in bloodshed. But Zemo is not buying it. He's like, this is only going to end one of two ways, and it's either going to end with her death or with your death. So which way do you want to play it, kind of thing. And then I wrote down, I was like, wow, Zemo almost kind of has the same ideals, or almost like he kind of has the same warnings that Vision talks about in Civil War, when they're talking about whether or not they should sign the Sokovia Accords rather. He's like, while we exist, our existence always will entice problems. There will always be people who see us as a threat and will always want to
Mhm.
challenge us. And I kind of am mirroring those two ideals to kind of understand where Zemo's coming from better. It was
Definitely.
just a side note I wanted to include in my breakdown.
Yeah.
And then they all decide to find out if there is some sort of funeral or memorial service for Mama Donia, what she's known to by Carly, to see if they can get to Carly somehow. We cut to this really quick scene of the Flag Smashers all hiding out in some abandoned building where they're listening to a report about their latest attack, and they find out, these really awful details about how the person that they just, killed was only on the job for a week. He was a father of 2 kids. So obviously they're, I feel like the weight of what they're doing is really resting with them. And
Mhm.
it gives me hope that maybe some of them are kind of maybe turning around their mindsets and maybe thinking like, hey, maybe our cause is not for the good like we think
Mhm.
it is, kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
thought that this episode was much better with the Carly stuff, like really
Yeah,
making them seem like characters and not just like these random villains that we know like a little bit of. Like in the past
right.
episode, I said like that was the thing. It seemed like Carly was kind of just like thrown in there every now and then for like a minute, and then she was gone. And it was like I want to get to know the person that's like the main antagonist, and now we know Carly's a much more complicated character. She's not just an antagonist. She is an antagonist, but she's not like the main villain. I'd say John Walker's more of the main villain of this series. I
Mm,
think I would say because Carly, I do think there's going to be a redemption arc, or it's going to be like one of those like too little, too late, but she's going to die heroically if she dies, and
sure.
I think that's where we're going with her. Almost like Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where like she's the villain, but at the same time, it's like no, she's like the person that is just misunderstood, and that we just want to kind of steer in the right direction, but isn't
Yeah.
the villain. Whereas, Walton Goggins' character, like Sonny Birch, is the main villain, and that's what John Walker feels like to me. Yeah, I almost forgot his name because
Yep.
irrelevant.
So
Um,
unforgettable. I mean,
so I
forgettable, not unforgettable.
I mean, unforgettably forgettable, But
Exactly.
yeah, I thought this episode did a good job with just the Flag Smashers in general, like actually giving them some identity, and like Carly, she's killing it. The actress is killing it. I need to pull up her name, but like she is just phenomenal. And I thought this was the
Mm,
first time I was like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm down for this character. I'm excited for this character. All that jazz.
totally. So then we are at the refugee facility. They seem to be at in Latvia. Sam, Bucky, and Zemo all split
One sec, Kels.
ways.
Erin Kellyman is her name. So Erin
Oh,
Kellyman, great job.
good job, Aaron. Um, they all split up and search for clues as to where they could find Donya and therefore Carly. No one seems to help Sam, but one man gets into a conversation with him about how, when people usually promise to help, it's, very empty promises, like nothing happens. He tells him about how the GRC has promised, more supplies, more teachers, more, just more help in general, and that was 6 months ago, and they still are, barely managing. And he tells Sam, like, I know who you are, and for and for that reason I can't trust you. And it just made me think of like, the GRC is failing them because they cannot bring them more supplies. What does that remind me of? The American government? Who's to say? Zemo,
Very, very political episode. This episode
yeah,
is very much
really
not
politically
subtle at
charged.
all in its political, correspondence. It
Yeah.
is very political. The title itself, "The Whole World Is Watching." I mean, that is literally at the end of the trial of the Chicago Seven on Netflix. Like that is the chant that ends the whole movie. The whole world is watching. The whole world, like
Oh
it is
wow.
so politically charged. Like
Yeah.
this episode, and like honestly good. Like I think like it's good that Marvel is going in a different direction. I was worried it was a little too same here, been there, done that, and it is in some retrospect. But I think this is the most political they've gotten with any of their stuff. So at least I appreciate them for at least going for it.
Yeah. And it really like what this series has really done for me is like it kind of like makes you question like whether or not what the Avengers did at the end of Endgame was ultimately the right choice. I mean, I hate to
Right?
say it, like as much as obviously we wanted all of our favorite characters back, like Spider-Man and Peter Quill and Sam and Bucky, like as much as we, really like were pining for them to come back and like trying to figure out like how they were going to get them back. It's like for the rest of the world who aren't the Avengers, who had adjusted to life, it had been 5 years, they had readjusted to their lives, they had come to terms with the people that they had lost, and then poof, everything's
Yeah.
back and you just have to readjust back to normal. Do you try to
Right.
assimilate the other half of the population to the changes you've made and the progress that you've made without them? And I can understand the power struggle now and why groups and movements like the Flag Smashers have come about in this, in
Yeah.
this world in 2023 or 2024. I think maybe
Yeah.
we're in the year 2024 now.
Yeah.
Um yeah, which is heartbreaking because at the end of Endgame, we're all just so ecstatic for everyone that we got back, and now we're
Right.
kind of, this series is like making us, take us a step back and say, but wait, was it really for the better, or
Mhm.
did they really just fight to bring everyone back for really selfish reasons?
And kind of the same thing we see with WandaVision too is like when she lifts that hex and you see her drive, or not lifts the hex, but when we see the flashback and she's driving through Westview,
Mm,
there's like the people, like he's putting up signs for like piano lessons, and like there's like
mhm,
people walking through town. It's like almost like a ghost town because a lot of people were really negatively affected by this. But there's also that idea of, yeah, like now how do we find the new normal? And now once we have the new normal, it's like now we gotta account for all the people coming back. Like I'm sure they probably knocked lots of houses down when there were so many vacancies. There are probably families that moved into smaller places. Like if half
mhm,
of the family got snapped away, they probably left and went somewhere else. And then they, like now it's like with all these people flipping back now, it's like, no, we need the bigger house again, and it's like you don't have that opportunity, and that, yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and I think the whole rest of the MCU from here on out, and I like how this is like phase 4, like where Avengers Endgame and Far From Home are like the end of phase 3, is because this whole phase is all going to have to relate to Endgame in some way, because Endgame just changed the game for so many people in so many different areas and aspects
Mhm.
everywhere. And we see it with
Mhm.
Loki trailer too, like the ancient one, when she's describing the Hulk, how like everything has to go back to the way it was in the same place, same time. And then in the Loki trailer, we see this like it's like a straight line that it branches off into like 30 different, webs and
Mhm.
branches, and it's like
Mhm.
you messed with the time, and that could be detrimental, and it's really really interesting. Yeah.
100%. So then Zemo lures a group of children with some Turkish delights. He's also singing "Ba Ba Black Sheep" like a maniac.
This is
Uh,
kind of not really an Easter egg, but do you know what other famous story involves Turkish delight?
Narnia.
Narnia. And do you know who
Yeah,
gives them the fucking Turkish delight? The White Witch.
who is played by Tilda Swinton, who plays
Yeah,
the
who's the
ancient
ancient
one.
one. Whoa. But yeah,
Whoa.
like I, as soon as he said the Turkish delight thing, I'm like, oh, I mean, we already know don't take candy from strangers, but especially when it's fucking Turkish delight. We saw what happened with the White Witch. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she fucking
Edmund.
killed Aslan. Man.
I know.
Oh, good movie. Good
Can I
movie.
just say I
Sorry.
thought that Turkish delights were something so different. I saw them in that movie and I wanted to try one so bad, but then I found out that they're like gelatin. But
Yeah, it's
he had white
in
powder
Narnia.
all of his face.
Yeah, I was gonna say in Narnia, they like take the candies, and it's almost like a ball of powdered sugar, and then you have the
Yeah.
candy. Whereas here it was like in these little wrappers. It almost looked like taffy, and it kind of
Yeah.
is like taffy-ish. Yeah, I've tried it once or twice. I think because I was in a children's theater production of Narnia where I literally dressed up as, I think I was a little fawn. I wasn't even the main fawn. I was like the little fawn. I was like 7 years
Aw.
old, and the director gave us all Turkish delights as like a cast president. We were all like spitting them out at the cast
Oh, they're
party.
not good?
We were all like, "Ugh." Like, I mean, they
Oh,
might be good,
okay.
but as a kid, I mean, my palate had not developed. I mean, I'm sure
Right.
it's great,
I
but
see.
like licorice, I hate black licorice, and it was kind of like one of those things. I mean, if y'all like black licorice, don't hate me. I just don't like it, and like it was one of those things where it was like an acquired taste, especially for a 7-year-old. So, do you
Yeah.
like black licorice,
I
Kel?
love black licorice. The black licorice jelly beans this time
Oh,
of
the good
year.
and plenties. Ugh.
I mean, I've never had Good and Plenty's, but they literally just sell bags of like during Easter time, they sell bags of black licorice jelly beans, and I used to just
Ugh.
bowls of them when I was a kid. I don't
Oh
know
my
why, I
god.
loved it. Now
All
I don't
right,
really
well,
like gummy things because I don't like things that get stuck in my teeth, and I think I'm like 50 years old
I
all of a
mean,
sudden.
I was never a gummy guy anyway. Like I didn't like Sour Patch Kids. I never liked gummy bears. I was like I
Yeah,
didn't like
no.
that gum, but I do like jelly beans, but I do not like licorice.
Mm,
I can't.
I understand.
Twizzlers. Give me a Twizzler any day, but licorice and red vines, I can't do red vines.
Like red vines, Twizzlers, not so much. They taste like
Uh
plastic.
okay.
Don't like
Well,
them.
yeah. We're gonna have to like sit down and do a taste test of all like movie theater candies and see what
Yeah.
really is the best. I mean, that might
I
be a fun video to do someday. But
I agree. I think we should. So
yeah.
this one girl does tell her that she'll give him the information that he needs, and he warns her. He says, "You see those two guys back there? There, you can trust them." And he's obviously referring to Sam and Bucky. So this was the betrayal that we were all, that was coming inevitably. It was happening right before our eyes.
Do you
Um,
think it was a betrayal, or do you think he was doing that so they wouldn't like suspect any funny business? Like they weren't, because maybe they saw like to throw them off almost, like to make it seem like,
like
oh,
the
I'm not with them. You
kids.
can trust me. Ah,
I
yeah, true. They
mean,
are kids.
maybe. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe, but we find out in the next scene that the reason why he did that, he didn't want any of the other kids telling Sam and Bucky, was because he wanted to use it for leverage. He's like, I
true.
know as soon as we get to Carly, you guys are going to stab me in the back anyway.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
need to use this to ensure my safety.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm giving Zemo a little bit too much benefit of the doubt, but I was the
Listen,
one who said I think he has alternative motives, and I think he still does. But
I
again, like I'm trying to see the best in him, but
I know exactly where you are because I was defending him last episode. So,
yeah,
listen, I want him to be a good guy at the end. Like, I don't want this to end with a
I don't know.
shootout between Sam, Bucky, and Zemo. I want, him to either end up in a Wakandan jail or be changed for the better some way, somehow, because I'm really digging this character. I'm really
Yeah,
into it.
Kelsey's a Zemo stan. I
I'm
love
a
it.
I'm a
Did you
Zemo
did you
head.
s-
Big
did you see
Zemo head.
the So obviously we've seen with Justice League the release the Snyder Cut hashtag got them to literally remake the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and we saw fans say release the Zemo cut of the full dance break. Did you see the full dance break?
No.
It's
Wait,
I'll send it to you. It
send
is
it to
out there.
me.
It is a full dance break of Zemo doing the full dance, not just his one like that. It was not just this, but it was the whole dance. It's like literally a minute long
Oh
of
my
him
god, I
dancing.
need it. I need that in
And
my
and it
life.
and it was the fans. They went to Twitter, they said hashtag release the Zemo cut, and they were like, all right. And then they posted the whole clip, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I love sometimes I don't want studios to get carried away by like responding to hashtags and social media, like peer pressuring them like that, but
Sure.
in that sense, like why not? You have the footage of Daniel Bruhl dancing, you release it, do it.
Oh my
I like
god,
it.
if I
Yeah,
knew that happened, that would have been my Marvel news of the week. Are you kidding? I'd be like,
I mean,
"We got the full clip of
I think
Zemo dancing."
talking about the literal Avengers campus that we can go to and the Loki trailer are probably the two bigger pieces of news
Sure.
that
All right.
we're
I
talking about.
guess still. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So I think we did well with our news, but carry on, Kels. We've rambled too much about Turkish delight and Zemo.
So Zemo tells them that, he found out when the funeral is, but he wants to use it as leverage. He's being very cut and dry with them. He's not being sneaky. I think because he knows that he can't outpower Sam and Bucky. Bucky, especially, because as we see, Bucky just takes his tea and chucks it right at the wall and is like, really, you're going to try to like get around like me? And I think he realizes that I'm really no match for you because you have a metal arm and the serum in your veins. And
Right.
Sam's just like, well, this isn't gonna like, I'm not gonna take this right now. He's almost like the parent almost in this dynamic trio. And he's like, I'm just gonna find out some other way how we can get this information. He gives Sharon a call and is like, I need help. And she warns him, she's like, I'm just letting you know, like, ever since Nagel died, like things have been pretty rough here, more rough than usual here. Magipur. I almost said, I don't know why, but I just said Marigold. I don't know. In Magipur, and that the power broker is pissed and that he's going to be looking for whoever is responsible for Nagel's death. And she says something like, you killed the golden goose. And I was like, all right, relax, Sharon. We cut to a scene with Carly and one of her flag smasher buddies, who I'm referring to as the Cap fan, because he does reveal that he was like, I was a Captain America fan when I grew up. It's too bad what comes to his fate at the end of the episode. But
I
we
know.
see that she's, going for her secret stash of the rest of the serums. She's, they're just talking about whether or not they should be making more super soldiers, and he's kind of like, well, I think we should do it, whatever. And they have this really interesting moment where he was like, I never thought that there would be a next Captain America until I met you. And I really like, you can really see that it definitely took me by surprise. It also takes Carly by surprise, the fact that he said that. And I was like, whoa, where's this going now? Is Carly gonna end up with the shield by the end of this series? Because I don't know, man.
Maybe. You never know.
Listen,
You never
maybe,
know.
like, I'm not saying that Captain America cannot and should not be a girl, but I
Oh no, of
am
course not.
thinking that this whole, Sam's whole arc almost of this whole series is him learning and coming to terms with the fact that he is worthy enough to be the next Captain
Mhm.
America. I think so. I
Yeah.
think that's
And
where
And
it
again,
should end for him.
we'll talk about it now. We know now that like with the trailer, if this is not a mislead, if this was not just footage they filmed for the trailer, they are going
Hmm.
to get the shield back. So like we know it's going to probably be either Falcon or we'll see Bucky take it too.
Sure.
But I do think this is going to end up being, Sam's arc of, oh, I realized, almost like you don't understand what you have until it's gone.
Mhm.
Um, and he kind of realized what he had, and now I think this is changing him and shaping him into who he wants to be as a leader. And by seeing what John Walker isn't, he knows what he really has been this whole time.
Right.
So I hope Sam gets it in the end, because I did like that whole idea. We're getting a black Captain America, which is just awesome in general,
Mhm.
especially with, sadly, Chadwick's passing. We need more black superheroes.
Mhm.
Um, just for role models for audiences. So I think it's a good direction. I like that direction they took it. Also because Bucky is an old man, and he has all that, so much else going on with his character, whereas Falcon and Sam himself always felt like the side character. So it's like it's
Mhm.
nice now that, like, if he is the Captain America at the end of this, like, he finally gets to upgrade from that sidekick to that leading man role. And we're seeing it now with him as a leading man. But like, Bucky already had, like, this complex storyline in a bunch of movies, and I feel like this is finally giving Sam a really nice juicy storyline. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
I agree 100%. So then we cut to Zemo's taking Sam and Bucky to the funeral, to his associate, as he refers to her as, this little girl. But before they can get any further, John Walker and Battlestar show up and kind of, interrupt the party. They're confronting him about, breaking Zemo out of jail, and what, they're like, Carly's our mission as well, kind of thing. And like, just being all macho manly about it. And Sam says that he wants to talk to Carly alone. He wants to try to get this opportunity to level with her. And Zemo has this great, cute little moment where he refers to the little girl who's giving him his intel, his associate, which I found adorable.
Yeah.
Found adorable. And John Walker decides, Sam, you have 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes is up. Like, I'm going in, I'm getting her. And he handcuffs Zemo to some sort of contraption in the room that they're waiting in. We can see, like, it's cutting then it starts cutting back between the funeral for Mama Donia and, excuse me, and like Bucky, John Walker, Battlestar, and Zemo all kind of like
Yeah.
waiting around for what to do next. And you really see the weight of being Captain America and the toll that it's taking on John Walker, because he's restless. He's pacing back and
Mhm.
forth. He's staring down at the shield. He's like, I should be doing more with this. I don't know, like, kind of why I'm enough, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like, nothing I'm ever doing with this shield is enough, and I
Yeah.
should be doing more.
Yeah, the thing I've liked about what they've done with John Walker's character, while his actions are completely, not what we want to see from him, we are at least understanding him and what he's going through, and understanding his motives. I'm not saying it makes him likable, but at least makes us understand who he is. Uh, and it honestly helps make him more unlikable, because we see what he's going through, and we see how he then uses that and does the total opposite thing of what he should do. So
Right.
yeah.
Totally. Then
And
we have
Wyatt
this.
Russell, man, good actor, but
Yeah,
we'll
he's
we'll
doing
get
a good
there.
job.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Um, Sam, then we have this great scene between Sam and Carly where Sam is just desperately trying to level with her, telling her that he really understands her helplessness. He understands, like, why she's doing what she's doing. He just can't understand why she's going about it. He can't get behind her methods. And um we cut back to John Walker and Bucky. He tries to go in, but Bucky stops him. We have intense moment of Bucky's hand on John Walker's chest, and he just like looks down and just does this slow like take up to Bucky, as like staring so intensely. It's almost the same moment as 2 episodes ago when that man spit on John Walker, and he just looked at him and said, well, he didn't look at him. He grabbed him and yelled in his face, "Do you know who I am?" And it's almost like the same moment of like, how dare you like disrespect Captain America? And I'm like, dude, relax, settle down. Like,
Yeah.
Bucky can literally snap you like a twig. You do not want to be messing with my boo, the Winter Soldier, right now. I was offended for Bucky in that
Yeah.
moment. But he starts trying to rile Bucky up. He's like, your partner's in there alone with a super soldier. You're just gonna stay back here? Like, he needs backup. Do you want his blood on your hands? And it's like, John Walker, like, I cannot, like, the audacity this man has.
And it's
I
just so
can't even.
funny seeing then what happens, you know, at the end. Like the
Yeah.
you want your blood on his hands. I'm like, okay, well now looking back, you sound like a fucking idiot.
The hypocrisy in this whole
Right,
character, it's just
right.
it's insufferable. So then we cut back to Sam and Carly. Sam accuses Carly of being a supremacist, but Carly says, "No, it's I. Everything I do is for the people. Like the real supremacists are the corporations and the people who keep taking from us and stealing from us." And Sam gets her to see. They have this moment of like, she's like, he's like, "You're killing innocent people, though," and she's like, "They're not innocent. They're robots who are working for the corporations. I'd kill them. I killed them once, and I do it again." And Sam was like, "Whoa, do you hear yourself?" And she kind of has this moment of like, "Oh my God, wait, no, that's not what I meant. Like, I don't mean to sound like them." And he's like, "But you do, though. So therefore, everyone's only going to see you as a bad person if you keep going about it these bad ways." But
Yep.
before they can make any real progress, John Walker bursts through the door. He's like, "Carly, you're under arrest." He interrupts. Sam and Bucky go after Carly, who tries to escape. While they're all trying to find Carly, we see that Zemo has gotten away. He got out of his handcuffs. Um, and then Zemo's the one who finds Carly. He starts shooting at her. I'm like, "Oh my God, is this going to be another Nagel situation?" I really thought that we were going to like lose Carly in that moment,
Yeah.
but I was nervous because the way this man just ruthlessly shoots people who gets in his ways, I was nervous. So he gets some good shots in her. He only wounds her in the abdomen, it looks like, and all of the serum spill out of her fanny pack, if you will. And I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to destroy them. He's going to destroy them." And he did.
And
He
he
starts
did
crushing, he's stomping on them, getting rid of the
mercilessly,
syrup.
yeah.
And I'm
Huh.
like, and I'm rooting for him. I'm happy. I'm like, yes, this is all that needs to be done. He can destroy these serums and then just move on with his life. But before he can get to the last one, John Walker knocks him out with the shield, and we see John pick up the last vial and he just pockets it. And I was like, "Oh, this guy."
You
I
knew it
just
though. You knew it was
I mean, I
coming.
knew it because once I really did my deep dive on John Walker, I did find out that him and his partner Battlestar both get the serum. They were both in trials
Well,
for the serum, and they both had it to begin with, which is how he became Captain America. But just the way that he got his hands on the serum, I didn't think
I
that
have a
they were
question.
actually gonna. Yes, still.
Is the serum something you inject or something you drink?
Well, in Captain America: The First Avenger, we saw that it was like injected in all of his
I
muscles.
know. My question is because not too long after that, we do see him flexing his super soldierness.
Right.
So I just was wondering, when did he have the time to inject himself
I
with the
mean,
serum? I was like, wait, is he gonna just shoot it up? Like, like what?
listen, maybe, but I interpret it as like maybe with the vials in that fanny pack, like pouch she
Oh,
had
there's like
with
a
her, there was
syringe.
also like syringe and
Okay.
stuff that you could use,
Yeah,
to
I knew it wasn't. You didn't drink it. I
I
was like,
know,
it
it's definitely
can't
not
be.
wanna it's not
So
like a shooter, it's not a
no, this
shot.
would be kind of gross. Like,
He
yeah,
didn't say
drink your COVID
bot oh,
vaccine. Here you go.
he didn't go up, down, up, shot.
Right, like
Like,
here's some Moderna for you. Here's some Pfizer. Like, no, like
oh,
we don't do that. So I was
no,
just
no,
wondering. I
no.
was like, when did he take the serum? Because at the end, it's very clear he took the serum. Because
Yeah.
he literally does one of those superhero landings from a fucking building all the way onto a car. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
way you
yep.
survive that fall.
Yeah.
Otherwise, ugh.
So
Anyway,
then we
I
cut
thought I
back.
thought he was gonna die there. I thought Zemo was gonna. When he threw the shield at Zemo, I thought Zemo was gone. Because like
Oh, really?
a shield to the head is like
Yeah.
that's like
I mean,
Mjolnir to the head. You know?
had there been like blood, I feel
Yeah.
like maybe he would have died, but I had a feeling that he was just knocked
Mhm.
out because
Yeah, well,
we're
that
not done
was the
with
same
him.
thing you were saying about like Carly. You thought Carly would get shot there. I thought he was fully gonna die as soon as I saw
Oh,
the
really?
shield flying in the air. I was like, oh man, yeah. So mm,
So then we cut to a scene with Carly and her flag smashers are kind of like regrouping since her meeting with Sam went awry, and
mhm.
she gets another threatening text from the power broker, and he's just saying like, "Your days are numbered," basically, like, I'm
Or
coming to
she.
get you. Hmm? What'd you
You
say?
said he. It might be a she. You never know.
Oh, you know what? From now on, I will refer to the power broker as they.
Well,
They
I just because of our theory,
No,
or
I
your
know.
theory that I'm
I
piggybacking
know.
off of.
You know
Yeah.
what? And it's super, like, uncharacteristic of me to just assume that this powerful being is he anyway, even though I
Well,
think
they are kind of referencing it as a
they're
he, though.
yes,
Yeah.
in the show, they refer to the power broker as a he, but you know what? That's also incorrect because just because it's a powerful person in power does not mean they have a penis. So, let's all fix that together. We're all going to
The whole
make
world is watching,
our
Kels.
Hmm?
I said the whole world is watching.
The whole world is watching, exactly. And then
Full circle.
basically, Carly informs us of her next tactic, which is to kill Captain America. Well, let's see how that goes for her, shall we? So then we cut
Without the
to
serum, it might have happened, but yeah.
yeah, without the serum, Carly could have taken him
Carly
out
would
with
have
like
murdered him.
one good punch to the temple, and he would have been out,
Well, I
gone,
mean, we
dead.
saw, with the other guy. Yeah, it was Lamar. It was 1 second, boom. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Spoiler alert, even though
Oh yeah, sorry. If you're listening to this podcast, we're gonna be spoiling the episode 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm so sorry.
We're halfway through the episode. We're just saying that right now.
We're like 80% through.
No, yeah, I
we're,
know.
we're like at the end. Like we're
It's just we didn't get to the Lamar moment, Dill, and I wanted to
okay.
talk about
Sorry.
it
So
when
Lamar
we
is
get
still
there.
alive, guys. Guys, don't listen to me. He's still
For the
alive. Come
time
on,
being.
come on.
Let's see. Ooh, who knows what's gonna happen. So we cut back to Zemo's estate that he has, it looks like, in Latvia, and he asks Sam, were you ever offered the serum? If you were, would you take it? And without any hesitation, Sam says no. Bucky comes in and he's like, John Walker's on some next level shit. Like, he's acting crazy. I know crazy, and like he's acting crazy. And then once again, John Walker bursts through the door. He's like, "That's it. Like, you ruin our plans to get Carly. Like, we're taking you to jail. Like, this is all ending right now." And before anything else can happen, the Dora Milaje,
Malaji.
Milaje. I thought it was the Dora Milaje.
J. Yeah, I think it's not. You said Malaj. I said Malaji. I think it's the combination. I think it's the
Okay,
Malaj.
because I wasn't sure because I thought I was going to kill this pronunciation and then you started saying it differently and then that made me not as confident.
I've been saying Malaji, and you've been saying Malaj. I think it's Malaj. I think we're both wrong,
The
but
Dora
who
Mil-
knows?
the Dora Milaje show up and they're like, your time is up, Bucky. Like, we're here to get Zemo. And, John Walker, high and mighty, I'm Captain America, man, is like, hey, ladies, please, it's me, Captain America. I'm sure you've heard of me. Let's put down your pointy sticks and let's have a conversation. And I'm like, oh, I wanted to snap my pencil in half as I was taking notes because he is just being so immensely disrespectful to these powerful warrior women. Okay, and I just like couldn't take it
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
This freaking
Seeing them kick his
misogynistic
ass was
asshat.
amazing. Yeah, seeing
No,
them kick his ass was so fun. Like,
he puts his hand. Well, first of all, there were a couple of mirror moments to point out during the scene, which is when specifically when he refers to them as like in the third person as they're not even there. He's like, the Dora Milaje have no jurisdiction here, and Io talks back to him and says the Dora Milaje have jurisdiction wherever they are needed. And there's this, and that's kind of like a callback to Black Panther when
mhm.
Martin Freeman's character, Agent Ross.
Yep.
Amazing. Agent
Not Thunderbolt
Ross.
Ross, but the other Ross.
Is it Roth or
No,
Ross?
it's Ross. It's Ross because I remember
Okay.
I was like, "There's already a Ross," but I was like, "I guess there could be two."
Cool. So Agent Ross, Martin Freeman's character from Black Panther and Civil War, asks T'Challa, does she speak English? And Okaye answers back, when she
Okoye.
wants
Yeah,
Okoye. Oh my goodness. I'm just
it's
like
okay.
off
That one I
off my
know. That
game
one I
today.
know because she's my Walking Dead Michonne. Like, she's a Walking Dead girl. Like, I know Okoye.
Okoye. What did I
Mm-hmm.
say?
Akaye. I don't know.
Okoye. Okay.
Listen,
And then
listen. These are. I mean, it took me a while to even remember Loki's name. It'll take a while. No, it did. I was like, who's that? The brother, the brother.
The adopted brother. Um, she says when she wants to. So she also responds by referring to herself in the third person, almost as if, hey, please don't talk about me like I'm not even in the room. I'm not a child. So then they just beat his ass because he puts his hand on one of their AO's shoulder, maybe.
Yeah,
And they're just like, no, we're not dealing with this guy. Like they just like take him down. Sam and Bucky have this moment of like, should we like get involved or should we just like let this play out? And they're like, no, maybe we should help him. Um, so Bucky starts fighting AO, and she uses this like fancy hand trick that immediately disables his arm and disconnects it from his body.
crazy.
And
Yeah,
it's, at first glance, it's just like, oh wow, I didn't realize that there was like a safeguard, like a plan B almost, to ensure that he won't murder you with a metal arm. But it's this heartbreaking moment, especially since we got that scene in the beginning. It's this heartbreaking moment of like, oh my God, you never really fully trusted me. Like you had to install this, you know, backup plan in case I
right,
did go rogue on you, in case, all of your treatments and all the technology didn't work and didn't help me. You had to ensure your safety by, inserting this,
right.
weird arm technique for me. And it's this moment of like, oh my God, like they never fully trusted me. So therefore they didn't even know if like their treatments would work. And
Yeah,
it just really, really destroyed me in that moment. Because, I want happy Bucky. I just want Bucky to be happy. That's all
I
I
know.
want at the end of this. While all of their fighting is going on, Zemo escapes, and once the Dora Milaje realize that he's gone, they exit the scene, and John Walker just has this super, super defeated moment. You almost, you can't see my hands on the screen this much. You almost feel bad for him because he's just collapsed within himself, and he says, they weren't even super soldiers. And you see the wheels turning of like, wow, I've never been good enough to do this job. Something's got to give, something's got to change. And now that he has that serum in his pocket, we all know what's about to happen next. And it's that he's going to use it.
Yeah,
So then we cut to a scene of him. It almost looks like they're in a train station, to be honest. I was getting like
yeah.
very like like Penn Station vibes from
Hmm.
this scene.
Yeah, or like one of those in New York. Sometimes there are subway stations where like there's actual like stuff in the subway stations,
Yeah.
like where you can like sit and get a cup of coffee, like in the actual station itself. Yeah,
Yeah. So him and Lamar just talking about, everything that they've gone through. He asks him like, "Oh, like would you ever take the serum if you had an opportunity?" And Lamar says, "Hell yeah, like if we had that serum, could you imagine like all the stuff like we could have done, all the people we could have saved?" Before they get in too deep of this, John Walker signs an autograph of a woman comes up to him,
hmm,
uh, which is just like, it's just gross. It's just gross because on one hand, we see him epically failing at his job time and time again. But then on the
right.
other hand, he has people coming up to him being like, oh my goodness, like, thank God, like, you're the next savior. Like, you're going to save us. You're going to be our protector. So you can almost understand why he feels like such a fraud.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, what he thought the job would be to an extent. Is like, oh yeah, I'll sign a few autographs, take a few pictures, shake a few hands, and then like if I need to step in and do some military shit, I will. But I mean, I think he's realizing that like, it's not just the super soldiers he has to watch out for. It's like, no, there's other people like these Dora Milaje that are just as powerful and aren't even super soldiers, and they can still kick your ass. Like there's other threats out there that aren't just like, I think in his mind he was like, well, if I, super soldiers, once they're gone with, no one can stop me. And
Hmm.
now it's like, no, there are other people who can also stop you that aren't super
Yeah,
soldiers. So
totally.
yeah,
And then throughout this conversation they have, we see Battlestar basically indirectly convinces him to take the serum that
yeah,
Lamar doesn't even know that he has, but by
hmm,
what he's saying, it clicks in him like, okay, I got my buddy's consent now. I'm taking this serum. I'm gonna start juicing, baby. You're gonna see these cannons. For those of you who are just getting the audio, I lifted up my arm and flexed
That's
my
right. Yeah.
pathetic arm muscle.
And I will not do that because mine is less pathetic, or mine is more pathetic.
More
Much more pathetic.
Thank you, Dylan. It makes me feel better about my
You're welcome.
upper body strength. So then we
No,
cut
I'm
to
strong. I just, it's hidden.
I understand. So then we cut to a scene with Carly. She gives oh my goodness, Sam's sister Sarah a call on the phone.
Samsara.
Sarah.
Samsara.
She gives her a call and is like, "Hey, I think Sam's working with John Walker. Is that true?" And Sarah's like, "No. Like, if you knew my brother, you know that he would never do that. He doesn't stand with the new Captain America at all." And she's like, "Great. Like, if he does, I'm gonna come for you and your kids." Obviously that doesn't sit well with Sam, being that
No.
Carly just threatened his family. Sam and Bucky meet up with Carly. Carly asks Sam to join him or to just leave her alone because she needs to get the job done. She has a mission and she's sticking to her guns. Or knives. So you're are you the only one that can make dad jokes on this podcast?
No, please.
Thank you. Sharon warns Sam. So now Sharon is tracking John Walker. I don't know, like, at what point she started doing that, but she starts tracking John Walker for Sam. She warns him that, he's in your vicinity. I think he found you guys. He goes in to get Carly, stop the Flag Smashers. Lamar gets taken and tied up and put into what looks like a bathroom. And then we see this moment of John Walker bending a pipe, to which it's confirmed that he did in fact take the serum. Sam sees it and is like, "What did you do?" Because Sam also knows in that moment, oh my God, he took the serum, that bastard. Oh, Bucky has a knife fight. There's this great moment where Bucky is back in his Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like the movie vibes, where he has this great
His
little, like, he
wheelhouse.
does all his knifey tricks with the knife. And I was just like, yes, Bucky knife fight. Give me that good Bucky knife fight. Lamar breaks free of his zip ties and he comes running into the scene, to which Carly punches him with such force he flies right into a concrete column, gets him right in his head, in his neck. Something must have severed because he is dead as a doornail almost like upon impact.
Yeah, it was very sad because as much as we don't love John Walker, I mean, Lamar was kind of the thing that humanized him, and as we see, now that he's gone, it's full. John Walker has no one now to kind of like talk him down or to be like that, conscience. It was sad, and again, another black character dead, which, in the grander scheme of things, like, I think that might also be part of sending a message, that like, oh, so like he's like the sacrifice, and John Walker still gets to carry the shield for a little longer at least. It was upsetting because I liked the character to an extent, but at the same time, like, they shouldn't have been at that fight. It wasn't their fight to fight.
Yeah, and it's really like, it really makes you think about, like, wow, like this guy is really getting like the same exact arc that Steve Rogers had. There was a moment in Captain America: The First Avenger where, well, actually, the rest of the movie, the second half of the movie, Steve believes that Bucky's dead, and that's the thing that like almost is the driving force for the back half of that movie. Right. And the way that Steve handled his best friend's death versus the way that John Walker handled his best friend's death, it's just like you can't even compare the two.
It's a good parallel though. I like that idea of like having like kind of the same thing happen and to see exactly how two completely different people handle it. Good point. That was a great point.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I thought it might be. I thought it might be a good point. So then the Flag Smashers are like, we gotta get out of here because this guy's crazy.
And Zemo too, right? Did we get there? Is Zemo's gone too?
Oh, did I mention that? Yeah, because
Yeah,
Zemo's
he
been
took
gone
off.
because
Yeah.
he El Chapo'd it through the
Oh, during the Dora Milaje, right?
yeah. Yeah, he's
That's when
gone.
okay.
While
Right, I
they were
couldn't remember
fighting,
which
he was
fight.
like, "I'm gonna get out of here," and he just like
So
closed the
he's been
doors.
gone. Just we don't
He's
know
been
where he
gone.
is, right?
We
Okay.
haven't seen him since that moment. Um, and then John Walker runs out. He finds the first flag smasher he sees and pins him down in a town square and raises the shield up and just bashes in his head
It's a
with the
full
shield.
it's a full Negan moment. If anyone Walking Dead fan is listening, it's a Negan moment. It's the bat scene. It's the iconic Negan where he picks someone's head and just boom, just goes to town. It's relentless. It's merciless. It's exactly the complete antithesis. Like it's the exact opposite of what you envision Captain America to be. And
Mhm.
like you said, when you called him a Cap fan earlier, it happens
Mhm.
to be the guy who literally idolized Cap, and it's like how terrible, like
To
that's really the
die
way
at the
you
hand
die.
of Cap's
The
shield
shield.
when that's something that you
Yeah.
thought was a role model. That's the thing you looked up to and
It's
idolized.
crazy. Yeah.
So
That
then
scene was nuts. Anyway, keep
yeah,
going.
I know. Well, I was just gonna wrap it up real quick and
Yeah.
say we zoom out to the town, the gathering of people that have gathered around to watch this scene unfold, and we see that there's obviously cameras recording and people probably live streaming the event. So the whole world is watching, and we and then obviously we have the most horrid, disgusting image in all of the
Yep.
MCU history, I think, which is this like downward shot of up at John Walker, him holding the shield and just the splattered blood on the bottom of the shield. And it
Mhm.
was just so unsettling and so disgusting and disheartening for anyone who's like a serious like Captain America fan. Like it's just it was as symbolic as if there was blood on a real American flag.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's that
It's yeah.
disconcerting.
Like you said, it's probably the next it's the worst image, like in terms of like what the Avengers stand for, and the
Mhm.
worst possible thing you could see, next to like or right above the Vision image of him with the head just
Mm.
the Infinity Stone
Mhm.
just pulled out of him, a soulless, lifeless body corpse. And I think both these shows, WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, have like made it a point to be like, this is what we don't want to see. Like this is what you don't want. This
Mhm.
is the horror of what could happen, and this is almost the stakes of the universe you live in. That moment was just that is kind of the moment where I was like, okay, finally, I'm like in with like the show is finally like doing something that I feel is really pushing the boundaries at
Mm.
least a little bit more than
Mhm.
it was before. Like I really like the stuff with race in episode 2. We talked about it, like the little, the small little moments, with Isaiah and all that stuff. But I think this is really where it gets to like this whole like this is where it really fits into the bigger MCU picture with this scene and this moment. I'm like,
Mhm.
I was taken aback. I was just jaw to the floor. I was like,
No, yeah,
whoa.
it's I got texts about it. I got texts. Our friend Dave texted me and he was like,
Yeah.
"Did you see it?" And I was like, "No, I haven't yet, but what?" And he was like,
Oh,
"That ending." And I'm like, "Oh boy." I was nervous.
yeah.
I thought someone was going to die, and honestly, what the ending was much worse than if like someone died.
Yeah, well, honestly, the night before on Twitter, because I stayed up to watch it. I stayed up that night to listen to a specific album first, and then I watched it. Um,
Okay.
Shout out T Swift, we love you.
Shout out to Taylor Swift fans.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then as swift as I went through that album, I went to sleep.
Yeah.
I listened to the album. I turned on about 10 minutes. I saw the Bucky scene with Wakanda, and I was like into it, and then I was just like asleep. And it
Yeah.
wasn't anything to do with the episode. It's the fact that they drop at 3 a.m. here on East Coast time, so
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
and these are longer episodes than WandaVision. WandaVision was like 10 minutes in, it was like, okay, I only got 20 left, but now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I got a whole 40 left, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm done. And
Yeah.
went to Betty Bye. And then the next morning I see on Twitter it's just hashtag John Walker's trending, and I see people's like the gifs of people going like to like the John Walker thing, and I'm like, oh, John Walker's gonna die. I hate that I spoiled it for myself, and I was upset because I was like, John Walker dies, and I was like so mad. And then when I watched the episode, I was like, oh no, This is honestly worse because I feel like if John Walker died, everyone would be like, "Whoa, can't believe they did that." But like, all right, like cool, we'll see how this goes. But now it's like,
Mhm.
no, he did something I think worse in the fact that like he did something that it's like you said, putting blood on the American flag. It's like
Yeah.
that idea of like something that is it means so much to so many people to like then you know graffiti it up with blood. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I saw those Twitter reactions, I was like, damn, I spoiled it for myself. But then when I watched it, I was like, oh no, he doesn't die. This is a lot more than that. This
Oh,
is like this
yeah.
is crazy. But it was Lamar's last episode, so we think. I mean, again, it could be a Bucky thing. You never know. Um,
Maybe, but I
but
don't
rest
know.
in peace, Battlestar. Yeah,
Rest in peace, Battlestar. Just when he
yeah,
was like, like you said, being the moral conscience for John Walker. It's a
yeah.
shame now because now he's all juiced up. He has hashtag roid rage and
Yeah.
God only knows. So my question to you is, Dale, what do you think is
Mhm.
going to become of John Walker now?
That was my question was like what do you think they're gonna do with these last two episodes? And I think part of it is like what happens to John Walker. I
Listen,
think the first episode starts with like or fifth I should say starts with like John Walker behind bars or not behind bars, maybe just like hand in your badge, like hand it in,
yeah,
like give me the
yeah,
shield, and then they finally go to Sam and they're like, do you want it? And Sam's like, yeah, and like that's where it starts. So then the last two
okay.
episodes is just like, now how do we get Carly? How do we get the Carly thing under wraps? Where the hell is Zemo?
Mm-hmm.
What is Sharon's deal with this? Because
Mm-hmm.
we still don't know who's the power broker, and do those two things go hand in hand?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Wakanda, what happens with Wakanda? And I think because we had so many storylines going on at once, I almost want this to be the end of the John Walker storyline because we have
Mm,
so much other stuff to get to. And I think
right.
it's kind of like it's kind of like WandaVision where it was like, you know, there were so many different characters to tie up that like they did such a good job wrapping up WandaVision and Agatha's story that like I felt like Darcy almost got the short end of the stick in the
Mm,
finale, and like
mhm.
even Ralph Boner got a little bit of the short end of the stick, no pun intended. And then like and then
Good one.
there's your dad joke. Not even a dad joke. That was just a Michael Scott joke. And
Yeah.
then like Monica, she kind of like got a good ending, but at the same time, like I feel like they could have done a little bit more with her. So like I think this is like one of those scenarios where like John Walker, this was kind of where the breaking point, and now like next episode, like first 10 minutes, let's deal with the repercussions of that, and then let's give the hit shield to Sam and Bucky, and like let's go forward. Because like John Walker was a great antagonist, but I feel like if they're gonna keep focusing on the John Walker stuff, it's just gonna become way too cluttered for these last two episodes.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree
Like, what do you
100%.
think? What do you think is gonna happen? With John Walker, and then like with Zemo, and like how do you think they're gonna wrap up? Because we have two episodes left.
Yeah.
So
Well, my hope is that John Walker faces some serious consequences
yeah,
from this tragedy
mm-hmm.
that has happened. I
Right.
really hope that, the US government just doesn't like turn a blind eye or, turn
Right.
the other cheek to this and that he either is like, hand in your badge, hand in the shield and
Mm-hmm.
we need to do something about this. I hope it's not just like a slap on the wrist situation, but knowing how much they're paralleling to real life American government, this white man might really just get a slap on the wrist. I do
Yeah.
think that arc wise, yes, like this would be a great way to just like get rid of him being an obstacle in the show. But, they might just fail us and not give the people what they want and just say, all right, don't do that again.
Or you
Go
know
on your
what?
next mission.
Maybe they give him the slap on the wrist, and he, as a changed character after seeing what happened and seeing
Mm,
everyone around him, says,
seeing
"You
how
know what?
the
No,
ugh.
like how the world is watching them."
That would be the only thing if he were to step down from the mantle himself, that would be the one thing that could almost redeem him as a
And
character.
honestly, I think that would be a really cool choice because then, like, it kind of shows. Like, I've always believed that cancel culture is such like a weird thing now. Like, it's a very thin tightrope to walk in terms of talking about it. But I think admitting to your mistakes is part of you can't redeem someone overnight, and some people can't be redeemed in their whole lifetime depending on the
Mhm.
gravity of their mistakes. But I think anyone who's at least willing to admit what they did was wrong and publicly say it is in a step toward the right direction toward redemption. Whether you get that full redemption or not, I'm not saying anyone should or will or shouldn't or won't, but I think that would be a good message to send to people. Like, hey, if you do the wrong thing, you take ownership of what you did. But then again, he's also a super soldier now, so what do you do? Can you
Right.
stop him? Can you put him behind bars? Does Wakanda step in? Does Wakanda have to take him in and like wipe him clean? What do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bucky could take him. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm clearly, obviously, very
I
team
mean,
Bucky here, but
that's option 3. So like either he goes behind bars, he turns himself in, or
Bucky steps in.
yeah, like
Bucky just roundhouses his ass.
yeah.
Dill, did you have any Easter eggs from this episode?
I didn't
either.
I tried looking, and there were like some callbacks to like things that like Stanley Tucci's character said about just like what the super soldier serum means and like
Right.
how you control it and stuff. But I think that's stuff we've kind of already covered. Just like that idea of like it makes the good good, it makes the good better, it makes the bad worse. And I think that's one of the things now. It's like it's making the bad worse, and we see that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I just want to say first and foremost, or last and last most, I guess, that Wyatt Russell's performance, as bad as the character, as much as we are meant to hate the character, he in this episode especially did a really, really good job of just selling exactly how insecure John Walker is, but also how ruthless he is in terms of like his carelessness and who we are meant to see John Walker as. I think he did a great job. Someone mentioned in our comments last week that he is the son of Kurt Russell, who played Ego. So, yeah,
like
right,
in
Kelsey?
real life?
Like in real life, not Ego's son. That's Star-Lord. I'm talking like
Oh,
Kurt
yeah,
Russell.
you're right.
Kurt
That wouldn't even
Russell,
make sense.
his son is Wyatt Russell. So
Oh my
Wyatt
god,
Russell
I didn't know
comes from a family of great talent, and I believe his mom is also Goldie Hawn, who is also an actress. I don't know if that's 100% sure, but
Good
he
for
is
Wyatt
he's
Russell.
he's a great actor, and I think he really showed his chops here. Like I was very, very impressed. Because I hated him so much, and I think that was the point. But like you said, there are split seconds where you feel bad. And the 2 moments are the ones you mentioned earlier, and then also when Lamar dies, there's that split second of, oh man, poor guy, and then it's he switches off. So yeah, Wyatt Russell is the son of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, so that is confirmed. I just checked it. So yeah, a very talented family, very talented actor.
What a star-studded family that is.
We love to see an actor who can be bad, so bad they're not likable, but like we love to hate them, and I think John Walker is someone we're all loving to hate. But again, like you said, there are those moments where you do kind of feel for him, and I think that is what makes him more well-rounded. But in the grand retrospect of things, like we are not necessarily like feeling for him. Like at the end of the day, he is very much the villain, at least right now, especially with Carly, who we are getting a lot of like, oh, maybe she has a point, to her motives. So yeah, that's episode 5 or 4.
I didn't have really Easter eggy things, but I just wanted to bring up 2 other parallel moments that I saw. So obviously, the one being the most obvious one, which is when John Walker holds up the shield, and uses it to smash the guy's head in. So graphically, obviously, this mirrors the moment in Civil War when Steve holds the shield up over Iron Man. And, Tony has this moment of when he shields his face, he thinks that he's, really going to go for his head. But instead, he, makes the decision to just take out the Iron Man suit, and he goes for the his heart in the middle here. Yeah, exactly. And just, breaks the suit so Tony can't fight him anymore. And, that's also the vast difference between John Walker and Steve Rogers. And the other one that I want to talk about was right from the beginning when I saw the title of the episode, The World is Watching. It brought me back to the moment. I don't know if you caught on, if you also noticed this still, but it immediately brought me to the line that Okoye says.
Okoye.
I keep saying it's the second vowel I keep saying wrong. Okoye says in Black Panther when T'Challa is fighting Claw in Korea, and he's like, every breath you take from me is mercy. And he says, she says, "My king, the world is watching." And we look around to the same exact scene that John Walker's in. We look around to a sea of people who all have their phones up. And in that moment, T'Challa decides to, grant this guy mercy, just instead
Huh.
of killing him right there in the moment, he's going to take him in and handle and deal with him behind closed doors. And it's not only just to say like, look how much of a better person T'Challa is than John Walker because he made the decision to just kill the guy right then and there, but it's also just like, wow, the luxury. It's also, brings up a discussion of race of like, this is
Mhm.
like the luxury that a white man, he gets to make this public mistake without anyone stepping in, or he, like we were talking about before, he might just get a slap on the wrist, he might face serious consequences, we're not sure, but he makes this public mistake and there's barely any outrage compared to if T'Challa, a black man, had decided to kill Claw in that moment. It would not have gone
Right.
over as,
Right.
nicely almost, I
Mhm.
wanna say, for him. So those were just the
Yeah.
2 parallel moments that I wanted to address before we wrapped it up here.
Yeah, though those were great parallels. I didn't think of the Black Panther one, but like it makes sense. And I am very fascinated, like we talked about, like what will the repercussions be? Will he just get a slap on the wrist and like get to keep going? Or we know the shield ends up with Sam and Bucky somehow. At least that's what the trailer said. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Any last thoughts, predictions, anything?
I think Sharon's the power broker, I'll go on record right now.
We've been saying it.
It's gotta be the one thing that really layers her character into this story and makes her really interesting, so
Right.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. So Kels, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can find me on TikTok at KOZ13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, KOZ Productions, Cause Productions.
That's right. And you can find me at Dylan_Randazzo on Twitter, at Dylan Randazzo4017 on TikTok. I said I'd make a TikTok this week, but busyness and everything going on has been so busy. So I will make one eventually. And then here at the Dill Pickle Movie Network, we have some exciting things coming on the channel. This Friday, we will be getting a new episode of the Great American Film Off, where we'll be talking about Oscar snubs. So the best picture snubs, actress snubs, actor supporting, and actress supporting snubs of all time in the Oscars. We're talking about people who weren't even nominated for the Oscars. That'll be on Friday. And then next week, or this weekend actually, is Sunday. So 6 days from now, you will be getting on April 18th the Pickle Awards, which is my own awards show. If you're listening to us now, if you're listening to us later, the Pickle Awards have passed, but it will be on YouTube, so go back and watch it. Kelsey will be one of our presenters who will present an award. We won't tell you what award that is yet, but it is going to be a lot of fun. There's a little hint right there. If you're watching on video. So stay tuned. If you want to vote for the Pickle Awards, there's an audience award. You can vote. There's a link I'll put in the description of this video if you're watching this video, and it is in my other video on my channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. You can find the nominations video where I go through all my nominations, and there was a link below to vote on the audience award. Please vote because it's a lot of fun, and I want you guys to have a voice because I don't want to just be giving out awards to my favorite movies. I want you guys to be giving out awards to yours. So Kelsey will be one of the presenters, as will a bunch of hosts from my other shows of Frame Rec, Picture This, all that jazz. So please watch the Pickle Awards on April 18th here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. If not, then we'll see you next week on the 19th. I will officially be 23 then, and we'll be back for more Marvel stuff. So we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.